All right, today we are going to learn how to solve absolute value equations. That's exciting, isn't it? Absolutely. Okay, so this is the type of problem you're going to see. You've got an average monthly temperature is 0 degrees. The actual temperature can be 5 degrees warmer or cooler. So what would the maximum or minimum temperature be? So right here in the middle is 0 degrees. 5 degrees warmer, warmer would go to the right because that's where the positive numbers are, would be adding 5. That would give you a maximum of 5 degrees. Minimum, we would turn to the left. We would still go 5 away, but you would land at -5, and that would give us -5 degrees. So if you notice, the distance from 0 to here and from 0 to here, okay, I'm not a good artist, they're supposed to be the exact same. So how are we going to write an equation to model this situation? Here's what I want you to write down in your notes. Give it a biggie wow wow star. You know I love those. We've had each other for a long time now. We've known each other a week. We know all about this stuff. It's going to be the absolute value of x minus the middle number is equal to the positive change or difference. Okay? So in this case, what that means is the absolute value of x minus 0, because 0 is our middle number up here, is equal to, we have a difference of 5 degrees either way, so it would equal 5. Since x minus 0 is just x, we're going to put the absolute value of x equals 5. And we're going to talk about how to solve that soon. So absolute value is the distance from 0. We just said that. Here's our absolute value of x equals 5. So what that means, again, remember, here's 0. What happens in my mind is 0's like a door. This guy goes walking through the door. Who's going walking? X. He could turn to the right and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. He would land at positive 5. But sometimes Mr. X just doesn't want to be right. He wants to be wrong. So he goes to the left. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. And where does he land there? -5. So to solve this, what we're going to do is we're going to take what's inside the absolute value. Oh, that should be green. I'm so non-consistent. We're going to take that, what's inside the absolute value, and we're going to set it equal to the positive number over here, because that's the distance we're going. We're going a distance of 5, and the negative distance of 5. Both of these are our answers in this case, and that's supposed to have a negative. It disappeared. So here we've got a new problem. X minus 1 equals 5. So right here is who's going walking. So if I went on a number line, here's 0, because that's what we're trying to find, the distance from 0. If I go walking through the door and I turn to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where do I land? I land at 5. Who went walking? Well, x minus 1 went walking through the door and it went 5 away from 0. What happens if x minus 1 goes through the door and says, nope, don't want to go right, want to go left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where would it land? -5. Well, who went walking? X minus 1. How far away did it walk? 5. But what direction? The negative direction. So the 5 is the actual distance. The positive and the negative is the same thing as left and right. So how do we solve this and find out what x is? We add 1. So x is equal to -4 in this case. Over here, we add 1. So x is equal to 6. Now this is a little confusing because it says it's supposed to equal 5. Well, if I go back in here and I put x is what I just found, -4, and then I put the -1, does that equal 5? Well, -4 minus 1 is -5. Is the absolute value of -5 5? What that's asking you is -5 5 away from 0? Yuppers. So I could go over here, put in my absolute value, and put the 6, because now that's what x is here. And then the -1. And this time, it's going to equal 5. I'm checking it. This is really important. I'm always checking it from the original. So check from here, okay? 6 minus 1 is 5. And my question to you is the absolute value of 5 5? Is 5 5 away from 0? And it is. Now, you don't have to do the check. I'm just showing you what it means. Well, you do sometimes, but not this time. So here's another problem. Here's where you're going to write step 1, okay? You're going to put a little asterisk here. You need to isolate the absolute value. What that means is you have to get the absolute value alone. It can be the only side on that side of the equal sign. So here I have the absolute value of 5x minus 6. That's who's going walking. Plus 8. 8's the little brother sticking around going, can I go, 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 can I go? The answer is no, you can't. You got to go over on the other side with mom and dad. So we're going to subtract the 8 and stick it over there on the other side with mom and dad. So the 8 and the negative 8 cancel. What do I have left? The absolute value of 5x minus 6. Then on this side, I'm going to add 32 and negative 8, and I get 24. Now I've got absolute value all by itself. So what I'm going to do is write what is going walking. 5x minus 6 goes walking. If it goes walking to the left, it walks 24 steps away in the negative direction. If it walks to the, oh, that's supposed to be a minus sign. Oh, silly, silly, silly. 5x minus 6. If it goes walking to the right, it still walks 24 steps away, but it's in the positive direction. We just don't put a positive there because that looks sort of goofy. Now we just solve it the regular old way. Add 6, add 6. 5x is equal to negative 18. Divide by 5. I'm out of room. So x is equal to negative 18 over 5. Over here, add 6, add 6. 5x is equal to 30. Divide by 5. X is equal to 6. 2 answers. I'm going to tell you that for most of the time, 2 answers are going to work. There's going to be one exception to that. Comes later on. All right, so here's another problem. Do you see who's going walking? These guys are going for a walk, okay? They're kind of in love. They want to go for a walk alone. So do they want the little sister 4 over here to go walking with them? They're going to put them over on the other side of the equal sign with mom and dad. But 4 is being multiplied, so this time I don't add or subtract. When I have a multiplier, I divide by 4. The 4 and the 4 cancel. What's really important here is do not distribute. Can't even fit it in there because we're not supposed to do it. Absolute value bars, these guys right here, are different than parentheses. They're a grouping symbol, but you can't distribute into them. It's against the law. So those cancel. I have the absolute value of x plus 5 here. Over here, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So now the absolute value is all alone. So I'm right who's going walking, x plus 5. We're going to take it away from 0. If it goes to the left, it goes 5 away from 0 in the negative direction. If it goes to the right, it goes 5 away from 0 in the positive direction. Now we're going to solve. Negative 5, we get x equals negative 10. Bada bing, bada boom. Subtract 5, we get x equals 0. Bada bing, bada boom. If you want to know how to check them, we can talk about that in class. Okay, so checkpoint 1. This is where you're going into your notebook. You're putting this in your notebook and you are going to solve this. Remember, you're going to get 2 answers. This is who's going walking. That's the only thing that can be over on the left-hand side. Move the 7. Hint, hint, hint. Pause. See you in a minute. Well, I won't see you. You'll hear me. All right. Now, this one is not going to be your favorite. See this variable right here? This variable is outside the absolute value. And all that means, oh, look at that, didn't write. All that means is at the end, you have to check. Okay? People don't like doing that, but you guys are good. You're watching this video. I'm impressed. Okay, let's have a secret word. The secret word is impressive. Write it down. Okay, so the question is, x plus 1 is inside the absolute value. That's like a big hug. Remember, they're in love. They're holding hands. They're inseparable. They're inside the wall of don't bug me. That's what the absolute value says. Don't bug me. Leave it in there. They are all alone on their side of the equal sign, correct? So remember, we said we write x plus 1 twice. We write who goes walking. Now, this one's a little tough because the left and right is a little hard because we don't know what to do with that x. So what we do is we change the 2x to negative and we change the positive 4 to negative. So when you go left, it becomes the opposite of every term. When you turn to the left side, you're going the opposite of the numbers that you originally had. So you got to put the negative there. When you're going to the right, it's just exactly what you see, 2x plus 4. To solve this, I'm going to add, well, I'm not going to add 3x. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. The negative 2x and the 2x cancels. 1x plus 2x is 3x plus 1 equals negative 4. I'm going to subtract the 1 from both sides. The 1's cancel. 3x equals negative 5, and I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to talk about the check in a minute. Over here, I'm going to subtract 2x. It's just what I do, people. So I have negative 1x plus 1. Oops, those cancel. Equals 4. I'm going to subtract the 1. Those cancel. Don't lose that negative 1 on the x. And I'm going to divide by negative 1. So x is going to equal negative 3. Now, the check is not going to be your favorite part. What you do for the check is you go to the stuff that was outside and you're going to substitute in the number for x. That's what checks are. And what you're doing this time, instead of seeing if they equal, you want to say, is it positive? Here's the reason for that. Absolute value must equal a positive number outside because outside represents the distance, not the direction. Distance is always positive. The positive and negative tell you left or right. That tells you the direction. So I'm going to go to, instead of x, I'm going to put negative 5/3 because that's what I found out x was here, plus 4. That gives me negative 10/3 plus 4. I would go to my calculator and I would find out it equals 2/3. Because it's positive, that's a good answer. Over here, I'm going to go 2 times negative 3, put in what we found for x, plus 4. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Ooh, you be negative. No, negative will not work. So that means negative 3. I'm going to give you a really cool big word. It is an extraneous solution. Okay? Now, if you can remember that, you're really cool. You are like Math Geek 101. If you just remember it doesn't work, I'm happy with that. If you're totally confused on the check, I'm okay with that. I expect that. That's more than a 2-second lesson. But what I want you to know how to do is how to solve the problem. We'll deal with the check in class. Okay, next problem. Oops, what's this tell you? You got a red flag here. That sure looks blue, doesn't it? You're going to have to check at the end. So 4 minus 5x is who's doing the walking. So 4 minus 5x. Oh my gosh, people, write the problem correctly. Then, if it walks to the right, remember, it's just exactly what you see. If it walks to the left, 3x becomes negative, 2 becomes negative. So to solve this, I'm going to add 3x. So 4 minus 2x, those cancel, equals negative 2. I'm going to subtract 4. So negative 2x equals negative 6. Divide by negative 2. X equals 3. We'll do the check in just a minute, okay? That was really fast. You don't have to, I don't know, don't write these down. We'll do your checkpoint. Subtract 3x. 4 minus 8x, those cancel, equals 2. Subtract 4, negative 8x equals negative 2. Divide by negative 8, you might think the answer is 4, but it's 1/4. Okay? Now remember, to do the check, I'm going to take that 3x plus 2, and I'm going to substitute in this number. 3 times 3 plus 2, 9 plus 2. Is it positive? Yup, so that works. Now I'm going to substitute in the 1/4 plus 2. 3/4 plus 2. I don't know what that equals, but a positive plus a positive is a positive, so that also works. All right, so we're going to write an equation. Now remember, the equations are x minus the middle number equals the positive change or difference. So the temperature of an enclosure for a pet snake should be 80 degrees. That's the middle number. So we're going to go x minus 80 equals, give or take 5 degrees. That's the change. So it's 5. All right, we're not going to solve it. We're just going to write it. Scores on the final exam averaged 85%. Again, absolute value of x minus the middle number is equal to the positive change. So x minus average, that's the middle, 85, equals, some were 7% higher, some were lower, so the change is 7. Oh, I thought I took this slide off. Yeah, pretend you don't see this. Ooh, I don't see this slide. Oh, no, Mr. Bill, isn't that a pretty problem? That's pretty. So here's the deal. What did Mrs. Evans do? She colored over a slide. Secret, put it in your checkpoint. Okay, here's your exit ticket. Can you solve this? Remember, this has to be all by itself because it's inside the absolute value. Then take it walking. Alrighty, guys. See you next time. Thanks for watching.